Welcome back to Crypto Classroom, where everybody is a student of the game. I'm your host, Asar A&D Stevens, and today we're going to be talking about why I think that Hedera HBAR is a quality pick, why I think it's a sleeping giant in the crypto space, and why you should not overlook it. We're going to get into some talks from the CEO, we're going to get into some clips from Ryan O'Leary from Shark Tank, and we're going to go about the technology and just my overall thoughts and opinions about it, as well as how I think the future of technology in the way that we view the world will change along with it. More of that right after this.
You are now tuned in to the Misfits Table.
Welcome to the Misfits Table Podcast, a weekly, easy listening podcast, and the only place you hear name aliases, music recommendations, spirituality, and dick jokes all in the same conversation. We're your hosts, Asar Stevens,
Glenn Hall,
and KC.
And every Thursday, we'll release a brand new episode talking about Black culture, conspiracy theories, and the latest music out, and just everything under the sun when it comes to our personal lives. Nothing's off limits. Like, really, nothing's off limits.
You can listen to this podcast on your favorite podcasting app, or if you like visuals, you can tune into the show on our YouTube at youtube.com/triumphantpeople. Head to our YouTube channel or your favorite podcasting app and tell all your friends that the show is completely free to listen to anywhere and everywhere you can find a podcast, you jackass.
And for more top media content, head over to our Instagram at Misfits Table Podcast, where you'll find more off-air content and you can keep up with our show's updates. Now sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, and enjoy the Misfits Table Podcast.
That was the one. That's
a take, man. That's a take. We got us on the trailer.
Fuck. I was trying my fucking hardest. I can't breathe.
I can tell Glenn was trying his absolute hardest.
All right, y'all. We're going to get right into it. First things first, we're going to talk about a couple sources. So Kevin O'Leary, guy from Shark Tank, he was actually on CNBC News not too long ago, actually mentioning HBAR Hedera in his interview. So we're going to just take a look into that.
You're like I don't know where you are in crypto. You were so negative for a while and just definitive, like you always are. You may know nothing, but you're never in doubt. But you were so negative. Then you got totally positive. Do you own Bitcoin now? Kevin, what's your position in crypto right now? You do. Have you sold
it's
some
20%
major parts
of
it? You have a lot of it, as much?
No. Look, Bitcoin is not a coin, Joe. It's simply software. Ethereum is software. If you own, HBAR software, if you own Microsoft, if you own Google, why don't you own Bitcoin? It's all software. It's part of anybody's software.
You own one Bitcoin. Do you have a real position in it because you're a wealthy guy?
I have millions of dollars. 20% of my portfolio is now in cryptocurrencies and blockchain.
I mean, there's one thing we got to talk about. I mean, Kevin O'Leary, he really hits it on the head when he talks about how crypto, it's not necessarily just coins, it's actual technology companies. These are tech companies that are raising capital through these coins. So it's a really easy way to think about it as that than just, oh, these are just foreign currencies or these are just digital currencies. These have actual value to them. And he talks about that a little bit on the Best Business Show. He was on there not too long ago as well. I'm going to play this short clip from them.
Let's talk about some of the investments you're making. I know that you've been public about kind of the specific assets that you're investing in, and it's a pretty diversified portfolio. You got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and others. I want to talk about just quickly, if you can run through your general framework of how you determine where you're going to allocate capital.
So I have come to the conclusion on all things digital, the best way to look at it, and I've said this several times, Bitcoin is not a coin, it's software. Ethereum is not a blockchain, it's software. It's all software. HBAR, software. And so what I do is I say to myself, I've seen this movie before. I was an investor in software, engineers 22 years ago at the Learning Company when we made educational software. So the way I used to do it then is the way I'm doing it now. I'm a very lucky guy. I can make a phone call and it always gets returned. That's the whole Shark Tank thing, and I get all that. But if I want to invest in Polygon, I want to meet the engineering team, which I did in Dubai. I called them up, met them, that the team heard their vision of what they're doing, looked at the economic reality of the outcome, the potential of it. So first is team. I want to meet the team. If I check the box on team, smart guys, good engineers, good strategy, good group, I'm interested. Here's the test, the second test. What economic value are they creating? In the case of Polygon, let's stay on the Polygon for a second. Aggregating transactions to reduce gas fees on ETH is a smart idea. There's a reason you would do that because you have an economic reason to pursue that. You save money. Transaction fees are less. So I think the potential of that is large. HBAR, okay? Great team, good engineers. What's the economic premise that would keep that growing? Well, Boeing wants a quasi-centralized, decentralized platform. They want the best of both worlds. HBAR can deliver that. Check the box there. Buy into that one too. Look what's going on with, Solana. I mean, they're trying to solve problems a different way too. Speed everything up. Check the box. Who's working on that? Sam Bankman-Fried and his team. Why wouldn't you bet that horse? So it's all about getting positions in all of these, software platforms. That's what they are. They're software platforms. So I say to institutions, you criticize me for investing in Bitcoin. You own a big position in Microsoft. You own a 5% weighting in Yahoo. What is that? That's software. Why don't you do the same thing in Bitcoin? Why don't you do the same thing in Ethereum? Why aren't you in HBAR? Why aren't you in Polygon? Why aren't you in Serum? Why aren't you in Helium? Like, it's all software. And so with that attitude on, it's hard to say I'll only invest in publicly traded software companies. One day to me, and I really believe this, one day crypto and all these software platforms are going to be the 12th sector of the S&P. And I'm just taking the bet now that we're on our way there, and I'm taking and staking my bets now. Broad portfolio. No one, Ethereum is my biggest position right now. Bitcoin's had a bit of a correction, I get it. But there's been volatility. But now, to offset that volatility, I own an exchange. So I want to own more exchanges. I look at it, it's all software.
I mean, you can't argue with that. You really can't argue with that, especially if you're somebody that looks into what these crypto currencies are, what these assets are. You'll see the underlying structure is just a team of coders. It's a team of people who just want to make. I said this before and I'll say it again. We are in the 90s where everybody was saying, how am I going to invest in these things? How do I invest in Google? That makes no sense. Why would I invest in a search engine? Why would I invest in something that it's online? How do I know it's going to get shipped to my house? It's the same thing. You guys got to pick up the patterns. So he talked about what kind of economic value that these software companies had. And he was talking about the example of HBAR and how HBAR is Hedera and how it can it has a wide variety of different blockchains that you can use. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into exactly why I feel like HBAR is a solid pick. He also talked about Helium. I'm gonna do an episode about that. He talked about Solana. I'm a big Solana fan. We're definitely gonna get into that as well. But today we're gonna just focus on HBAR, Hedera, and exactly why this is a solid pick, a solid bet for the future. All right. So first, let's just get into just features and just some names that are attached to Hedera. Some real companies that are actually using their technology right now. He already started off with Boeing. It's the plane company. They make planes. Boeing they want to use that blockchain. They want to use multifaceted blockchains. They don't want to be limited to one thing. Google, Shinhan Bank. It's a Asian bank. It's a really big bank. McLaren, the car company. So these are actual companies that are using it right now. These are companies that are actually taking advantage of the technology that HBAR Hedera does have. Not even getting into allowing dApps on Ethereum's platform. The fact that you can create, HBAR has its own ERC type tokens. It's called HRC tokens. And you can see that kind of as a negative because, as soon as we got those ERC tokens, that's where you get all the meme coins from. and it can kind of devalue what's going on. But and I do think you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of meme coins. You're going to see a lot of shit coins coming out of Hedera's platform. But in the long run, we're not really worried about that. We're thinking more long term than what we're going to be seeing on the news in a couple months, in a couple years. We're thinking 5-10 years in the future, right? Staking. Hedera's going to have staking, and obviously that's good for us as investors because we want to keep that money compounding. We want to earn interest on our investments. So, who knows how high the staking percentage could be on that when it does come out. So that's something that I'm really interested in hearing about when it does come out. Also, the biggest thing for me is the first move advantage. Hedera has this first movers advantage. A lot of people, when you ask them why is Bitcoin valued so much greater than all these other cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is about what, like $41,000 right now. The next most valued coin is Ethereum, which is about like $2,000. Why is Bitcoin so much greater than these other coins, these 1,600 other coins? And simply because Bitcoin had first movers advantage. They're the first ones to the technology. They're the first ones to be able to utilize this and become quote unquote more widely adopted, at least in the crypto community. And Hedera HBAR has the same thing because it doesn't use blockchain. What Hedera uses is a hash graph, which is like an upgraded version of blockchain. And the great thing about this is not only has first movers advantage, they see the potential that hash graph has over blockchain, and it's patented. It's patented. So not only are they first movers advantage to this newer technology, this better technology than blockchain, it's actually, they can actually use it. And depending on how you feel about decentralization, you might think that as a negative, you might think that as a positive. But as an investor, that's 100% a positive for HBAR. It's 100% a positive. And we're going to get into just a little bit. I have my notes right here. We're going to get a little about hash graph versus blockchain. And I'm just going to break it down a little bit so you can see the differences and really see why is hash graph better and why is this the thing that makes it so much better. So yeah, let's just get into it. So what hash graph does is it propagates information across a peer-to-peer network that all peers know about, right? Pretty much the same thing with blockchain. It's a little different. With blockchain, it's incorruptible digital distributed ledger that facilitates interactions and exchanges among different users over the internet. And if you don't know what that means, I did a whole video about it. It's about 20 minutes about blockchain. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out that video, check out that episode of the podcast. So what happens is with Hashgraph, it propagates meta information and it has a voting order for the users to send information and send events. In blockchain's way of doing things, it's chronological. It's completely chronological. You have to have a block in front of a block in front of a block in front of a block. Hashgraph, you have it's I wish I could like give you guys a visual. It's actually I'll put one up on the YouTube, but for the ones that just listen to audio, think about like zigzag lines. Do you ever take a test where it's like you have to match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and it's going like diagonal, some's going side to side. That's how Hashgraph works as opposed to blockchain in a line, which makes it so much more efficient, so much more faster. And that's just a bunch of tech stuff that you don't really need to know about, but I'm just letting you guys know because it's just the technology behind it. I find it really interesting. So what that all boils down to is with blockchain, you can only get 7 to 10 transactions per second if you're using blockchain. On Hashgraph, you can get up to 250,000 transactions per second. And you see like the difference in speeds and the difference in efficiency when it comes to these two things. The speed on blockchain, it's limited by bandwidth and the amount of nodes that are on a network. As far as Hashgraph, it barely uses any bandwidth. So it can reach a really high threshold point. So another thing, besides it being just efficient, it's also very scalable. So with blockchain, we know that transactions are made and they're logged forever and they're made available for everybody to see all the time, no matter what. It's kept on record and it's saved on every ledger forever, and it's immutable. You can't get rid of it. As far as how Hashgraph works, transactions are verified within a few seconds, and everybody in the node will be made aware of these occasions of the new transactions. And everybody, as soon as everybody in the community knows where they are, the transactions get deleted. So what it does is it basically saves space. So unlike blockchain, Hashgraph has no need to carry the previous record in the ledger. There's no need for it. You don't need, everybody already knows. So as opposed to blockchain needing up, 60 gigabytes, maybe even more of space to run software, you could run Hedera's Hashgraph. You could run it on your phone. It takes less than a gigabyte of storage to run that kind of stuff. So it's a lot faster. A lot of these things are a lot faster when it comes to Hashgraph. It's a no-brainer when you see how HBAR has this stuff patented for them and the technology, the creative ways that you can use this technology. This is not a meme coin, obviously, right? This is not a meme coin. This isn't something that you're going to see pumping because you see on the news, like people are talking about it, like a Reddit group got together and then they're all like, we got to invest in this. It's not that type of coin. This is like real technology that could solve a lot of issues for a lot of companies and in turn put money in our pockets. And I'm going to just show you guys one clip from a documentary. Notice how I even talk about price. I didn't even get into the price of Hedera. I didn't even get into the price of HBAR. And that's because it literally does not matter. When you see a good investment, the price does not matter. It does not matter whatsoever. If the price right now is about 20 cents for a coin, which is an absolute steal in my opinion. If you're holding this on for like the next 5-10 years, it's an absolute steal. Where do I think it can go? I think it can go above 100. No financial advice. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, but personally, me looking into this software and doing the research on it and seeing what companies are using it and how they're utilizing it, I truly feel that the price of Hedera Hashgraph HBAR can be way above $100 per coin. But yeah, no financial advice at all. I'm going to show you guys one more clip. This is actually the CEO and the creator of HBAR, Hedera. His name is Lehman Baird, and he's just going to be talking about HBAR and what it can do in the future and his vision for it. And if you listen to this and you're not bullish on HBAR, I don't know what to tell you, because this is just, it's insane, the possibilities that this technology has. All right, so I'm going to play it and we're going to end up the podcast after this.
How to create cryptocurrencies, or how to create smart contracts, or how to create stored information, or how to do databases. The database world has been doing this for decades. My interest was slightly different. What I wanted to do was to enable collaboration. My goal is that we should have anyone on Earth at any moment can just wave their hand and carve out a chunk of cyberspace, carve out a world of their own without having to pay anything, for free, create a world of their own and invite some friends. And now we have a shared world. Anybody should be able to create this shared world. And in this shared world, you and I should be able to create documents and create movies and create 3D objects, and we should be able to collaborate with each other and talk to each other. We should be able to interact in ways where I'm not the dictator of the whole world. I can't delete everything arbitrarily. We should have rules enforced. So maybe it's a fair world where I can't delete things you create. Or maybe it's a fair world where we vote on things. Or maybe it's a world in which we have a stock market and you can make sure that the first bid gets matched up with the first ask, not the later ones. We want to have a world that you and I can trust, and that our friends that we have invited, and maybe the strangers we have invited, can trust is going to work the way we want. And we can trust that if my computer dies and is erased, I can get all the data back. The data will never disappear. But to do it totally for free, no server involved, just the computers of the people involved, with complete trust without having to trust any one person in any way, and be able to have this shared world that has the fairness and then the speed. Now, I want to be able to play games in this world. So I want a ledger where I'm recording every single time a person moves or shoots or picks something up. You want to be able to do a game at We're talking hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, maybe. We want huge speed, and we want complete security. We want privacy. We want no one is spying on us. This isn't funded by advertisements. You want to spy on me so I have better advertisements. We want it just to be something that appears out of nothing, that's just living on our computers. And then when we're able to have a shared world, we want to have multiple shared worlds that connect to each other. So maybe you and I and a few friends set up a little stock market just for ourselves to send things back and forth. The banks do this. They're called dark pools. It's like a little tiny stock market just for a few players that trust each other, sort of, but not entirely. I don't entirely trust you, and there have even been problems with dark pools where maybe banks are taking advantage of some of the information involved, and maybe one bank's hosting the server, but they can manipulate the timing a little bit, and we have to worry about this. I don't want that. I want a completely trustworthy stock market that maybe you and I and a few banks set up, but then I want to have a different short stored world that maybe keeps track of a cryptocurrency, and I want them to be able to link so that that cryptocurrency is used to buy and sell our stocks. I want to be able to have a game world that links to a Wikipedia world, where it appears that pieces of Wikipedia are actually part of our world, and as they change in the Wikipedia world, they change in our world. You want to have shared worlds that are interlocking with each other, that allow shared trust even across these things. This is the vision for what we want the internet to be. It will change the way we even look at what cyberspace is, what the internet is, what are networks, even what are computers. This is what's going to happen. And 20 years from now, when the children who are born then are growing up, they're not even going to think about websites and emails as a separate thing, and internet and many of the hacking attacks that we have today.
He goes on for about 10, 14 more minutes about this. This is a really good documentary, by the way. It's called From Bitcoin to Hedera Hashgraph, the HBAR documentary. I recommend you guys check that out if you're really interested in what he's talking about. But I mean, come on, guys, like it just makes sense. It just makes sense. The future that we're going into is super decentralized. The future that we're going into is super peer-to-peer, person-to-person, because people are tired of having to trust, these governments and trust these companies to essentially, just, we have to trust them to make sure they're, not messing with us or taking our information or taking our money and then multiplying the money and then printing the money out and then charging us more money on top of that. It just makes sense. I think it's a beautiful place that we're going into, and these technologies that are coming out are really going to get us there. I have nothing else to say. Stay curious. I'm going to leave all of the information that I've referenced in the links below. Please always do your own research. Don't go out and just invest in this coin just because I've talked about it. Do your own research, form your own opinions about it. Let's have a conversation. Stay curious. See you guys next week.
Nothing's gonna stop